I love that. I never get tired of watching that ever. So, welcome to the Redemption Stories podcast, where we're here to transform pain into superpower. We believe it's the hardest times in our lives that birth the skills, characteristics, and experiences that we're most grateful to have. I'm one of your hosts, Marlon Johnson, joined by my amazing co host, Elena Tang. And today, our guest is a man who's one of the biggest names in real estate wholesaling. He's been in the real estate game since 2002 and has mastered the art of wholesaling real estate. He's successfully built Keegley, which is now a national franchise that specializes in wholesaling off-market real estate deals with over 100 employees spanning over 25 states, doing deals in over 100 markets. He also runs a mentorship program called Astro Flipping, where he mentors and educates hundreds of entrepreneurs on how they can be successful in their own wholesaling business. He's also the star of A&E's original series, Triple Digit Flip, which has been one of A&E's top performing shows, and they're already signed for 6 seasons. His resume is impressive. However, what I believe is even more impressive is his journey, his resilience, and his mindset that he's cultivated throughout the process. To give you a quick glimpse of what that story looks like without spoiling everything, I want you to understand that when he first discovered wholesaling, he started off his career with a life-changing deal that brought him $50,000 in a single assignment. And he felt that he discovered the best kept secret in the world. Armed with youth, confidence, and a newfound excitement in the beginning of his real estate journey, he started to build a company where he made over $12 million and very shortly lost every penny. But not before having got his parents involved in his dealings, sending them into bankruptcy. This caused him to hit rock bottom. And from that, he embarked on a new path from which he rebuilt himself into the man that we see today. So in this episode, we're going to dive deeper into his story and really begin to understand the mindset and habits that he created for himself. So allow me to introduce you to our guest, the Blue Genie himself, Jamil Damji.
Thank you so much, Marlon. I appreciate that. Elena, thank you guys. Really, really happy to be here. Love both of you. I recognize you guys from the Sub 2 mentorship and the community. I've met you both and seen you both in person. I think the fact that you guys do this podcast is awesome. I love the focus towards mindset and the necessity for us as entrepreneurs to support each other in the way that we think
Yes. Yeah.
in the
So
mind that will ultimately let you achieve all the things that you're looking for. So I'm happy to be here. I'm grateful to have been asked to come on and ready and open to chat. Let's get to chitting and chatting.
I love it. So, Jamil, I want to say, one thing too. You came on my radar after it was last August. I came out to Pace's Mastermind, where you actually opened up his mastermind event with a meditation. And to me, that was one of the most profound things because oftentimes in our space and industry, we see people sharing the victories and the wins. And typically it's always around the financial aspect of their life, the business aspect. However, you really put a big emphasis on the mindset that needs to be cultivated first, the mindset and the heart set. And I'm curious for you, when did that become such a core principle in your life, such a core factor? Because if I understood correctly, you make it a point that you don't even start your day and typically don't allow people to really interact with you until after you've had time to be alone and work on yourself.
Very true. Yeah. And so, Marlon, the I think the realization came to me. It would be right before Keegley was formed, and I was really in this interesting place. So I was I had already started to rebuild, my finances and my financial life. I was um had just been gotten married. It hadn't been too long. That Natalie and I had been married, but I was still suffering from a lot of personal things. And to be transparent, and because I believe we all have an obligation to tell the truth about where we've been so that people can understand. So to paint a picture for you guys of what that looked like, this is like 7 years ago, and daily drinker, Okay. I'm addicted to Vicodin.
Mm.
I, had gotten into a car accident in 2008 where I broke my neck and had been paralyzed, actually flatlined on the scene of the car accident. I was revived. I had a fusion surgery where they removed bone from my hip, and I essentially had to learn how to walk again. That's a whole thing. But that the pain of that kind of a trauma on the body, and the way that Western medicine just is so quick to prescribe painkillers in that situation, was what I would call my life at the time. And so you're sitting there in a day where you make 10 grand, and that's a substantial amount of money for a lot of people, right? It's like, yeah, I just made $10,000 today. That's, models strive for that, but I'm so unhappy. I'm so miserable with just my day. I don't seem to find any fulfillment. I would way rather be in a bottle than in a conversation with my family. I'd way rather sit outside and sip whiskey than sit inside and talk about life and goals. And that was just a sad place to be. Right. It wasn't because I wasn't enjoying my family. I love my wife. I mean, gosh, if you ever seen her, I love staring at her. And then, on top of that, she's the coolest chick I know. And she's such a wonderful human being. And so, I love I love talking to her. I love being around her. And so looking back at that and just seeing that money wasn't doing it. It just wasn't. I realized that I wasn't going to be able to adorn myself with a trinket that was going to decorate myself out of despair.
Mm.
And that showed me that no amount of money, no amount of success, no amount of material item was going to help me transcend this feeling of emptiness, of lack of fulfillment and lack of purpose. And so what do you do in that time, right? You start to enter into a journey of personal development. And so I do this. I start reading books, and I come across a book called You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. And very, very simple book, right? She does not complicate her process. She doesn't complicate her prescriptions. And she doesn't even have many explanations as to the prescriptions that she's given, other than the fact that many successful people I know did this, so do this and you should succeed, right? One of those things was meditation. And so here I am now in this situation where I am alone, I'm hungover, but I really want more out of my life. I want to do more. I want to feel seen. I want to see real people. I wrote in my Instagram post yesterday, I want to feel the spice. I want to feel the spice in my life. I need to understand what this is. What is it all about? And so I start off with a 5-minute meditation one day, and, nothing special, right? It felt weird, and I had a headache. And so it was just like not really going, but I made a commitment. I was going to do this for 30 days. I was just going to do it because I want more out of my life. I want success out of my life. I want purpose out of my life. I want opportunity. I want the doors to open. I want to feel like I'm collaborating and I'm involved in something bigger than just waking up every day and trying to chase bucks. So that process led me into a spiritual practice. And that spiritual practice unfolded into a purpose-driven life. And having that purpose that I've walked into now and I'm living on a day-to-day basis has been the most fulfilling and incredible reward that I've ever attained. Just being able to wake up every day and know that something I'm doing is helping other people, that I'm inspiring other people, that I'm sharing my experiences through business, through life, and in all honesty, my failures so that other people can walk a path into their own unique, authentic, purpose-driven life.
So, Elena, you wanted to say something?
I was just curious. So right before the accident, was there anything going on in your life where the car accident was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back? Where it was just like, I mean, almost even literally, speaking, because you got into a really bad car accident. But like, what was your life in that season? Where,
So,
yeah.
I was, I had just started to, my business was unraveling at that time. So, this is right before the financial crisis, in that really, my business was starting to unravel. The economy was unraveling. I was just about to bankrupt myself and my family. I hadn't yet quite bankrupted. We hadn't quite lost it all yet, but we were on the way there. So my situation was total, it was, the writing was on the wall, and the writing said, "You suck and everything's about to go."
And so then it's because it sounded like, the reason why I was asking that is because it sounded like the car accident was really just like, well, I mean, we end up getting into addictions because it's just, you're numbing, right? You're wanting to numb the stuff, and it's a sense of avoidance, right? It's a sense of coping. And so I was just curious, like, it sounded like there must have been something preceding that was also really burdensome.
Yeah, I mean, it was knowing that you're about to go into financial ruin and take your family with you is a terrible spot to be in,
Right.
and so that's the mindset I'm in at the time. I
Yeah.
just didn't care. I was so over it. I was just so over all of it. I was over, chasing. I was, I was young too when I made my first millions of dollars and lost it. I was in my 20s. And, when you're in your 20s and you make money like that, nobody teaches you how to save. Nobody tells you about what the things that are important, how to invest correctly, how to even manage your leverage and manage what the things that you're walking into in an effective and efficient way, so that you don't end up hitting rock bottom that quickly because you make such bad choices, right? And so as the $1 million in cars are being repossessed out of my driveway, like I'm like, what did I do here?
Yeah.
Like, really, what did I do? And so yeah, I think, Elena, the fact is that I'm looking back at it now, I was on that path to that crash. That crash was going to happen, physically, spiritually, emotionally, mentally. I was headed for rock bottom.
Wow.
And I think you need that. I absolutely believe that nothing we find happens to us out of, without pressure. It's interesting that I was listening to this study. So these scientists were trying to understand the effect of all of the greenhouse gases and the toxins and all of the things that we put into our environment on trees, right? They wanted to see what's the impact of all this toxic crap that we're putting out every day on the quality of oxygen, on the efficiency of photosynthesis, and on the ability of a plant to provide the life-sustaining oxygen that we require to live. So they said, why don't we create this ecosystem in a vacuum? And we will provide it all of the necessary ingredients that it needs to see, to thrive. And then we will test the oxygen saturation levels, and we'll be able to find out, what exactly we as human beings are doing to our plants that are causing us to have disease and all this stuff, right? So they're really trying to make this argument that in a vacuum, or without our input, or without all the damage we cause, that everything would be so much better, right? So they take these plants and they put them in this vacuum ecosystem, and lo and behold, the trees grow to a certain height, and then they fall over. And they're like, what? this doesn't make any sense, right? Why are these trees falling over? And what they come to find out is the trees are falling over because there was no wind.
Mm.
That the trees actually require the wind in order to grow, strengthen their bark, and become resistant to that. And so without that pressure, without that stress, without that tension and resistance, the trees can't grow strong enough to even hold up their own weight. So gravity is making the tree fall down because it didn't grow and have enough strength through its resistance in life to give it the strength it needed to survive.
And that's interesting because we say something pretty often, which is we would never do anything as unkind as to take away the pressure from a person. Right. Because I think we recognize that a part of the entrepreneurial path is part of not even just an entrepreneurial path, but it's more so the growth path when we're looking to grow through life is being able to have that pressure, because that ultimately does begin to cultivate us. So I'm curious to know, though, you did feel a lot of pressure, with everything that happened. It came at a young age, and you experienced something that maybe in that moment might have felt like an end game. Right, where it's just like, how the heck do I recover from this? I not only hurt myself, I hurt my family. And what did the future look like to you in that moment when you're in that headspace? And the reason I'm asking is because there are people today that might be finding themselves in that current situation. Maybe they're in their own personal rock bottom, and right now they probably don't see a way out. So when you were there, did you already see a way out, or what did the future look like to you from that space?
No, none of us get that, right? You're not going to see through the clouds. You're not going to see through the smoke. You've got to faith and believe through the clouds and the smoke. You're not going to see it. And so that's a part of what this is all about, right? We're coming to terms with the fact that we're divine beings. And when you come to terms with the fact that you are a divine being, then you understand that in everything you desire can find a way to you through belief and action. And so at the time, I would look at myself and I'd say, man, why should God bless me? Why should I have anything good find its way to me? Why should anything good happen for me? I'm a piece of crap. I'm an everyday drinker. I'm losing my family's money. I'm a total mess. I'm not honest with everybody. It's just not, I wasn't in a good place. I wasn't in a good way, and so you really have anybody who's at rock bottom put themselves there. That's the fact, right? You have only yourself to ever thank for that. And I say thank, not blame, because it's a true position of power. And so when you're in that spot, know that you're in the most powerful place that creation can put you. First and foremost, you have nowhere to go but up, right? That's a fact. But second, you have within you in that space a capacity to create an infinite potential of versions of yourself. So if you are at rock bottom, or if you're at a really desperate spot right now and it's just not looking good, everything is just hard. Every time you take a step, you find resistance. Every time you do this, there's a problem. Every time you do this, it doesn't work out. Let me give you this thought. We can take two people and have them do the exact same things at the exact same times, the exact same days, and they will get two completely different results. And when you think about that, it's like, well, what the frick, man? Like, I did all the things. I did all the things that should have led to this positive result. Why didn't I get the positive result? And what I will always say in that instance is that this wasn't tuned right. You brought to you the result that this and this requested. not the action. So if you're walking around life and you're finding that every time you get into a deal, somebody screws you, you really have to think about how you're moving around in the world, because you're calling that action to yourself.
Mm.
If you're in deals and you're just getting ripped off, find out where in your heart you're ripping people off. Like, you are really just being reflected to all the time.
Yeah.
So if you're at rock bottom right now, just reflect something different. But if you enjoy that spot, cool, you're entitled to that spot. You know, no one's going to take you from that. But if you really want something different, you can absolutely have something different. But this has to change first. This has to change first. And then don't expect it to change overnight. Guys, I'm talking 20 years since that accident. And I'm in this spot today. 20 years, and people start saying, "Oh, he's a GOAT. He's an OG." 20 years.
It's a long time.
6 years ago, I'm an alcoholic.
Mm.
So, you know, ease up on yourselves. Give yourselves grace. Give yourself runway. Give yourself some time. You know, and if you are surrounded by some crappy people, like, be okay to walk out.
Mm.
Be okay. Be okay with it. I mean, there's just too many of us that are giving ourselves a prison, a self-imposed prison by the company we keep, because we fear letting shitty people down.
The irony of that, right?
Right?
Yeah.
So I absolutely love that. I mean, first off, the fact that, like, I want to highlight what you just said, which is the fact that it took time, right? You know, we oftentimes, you know, especially with social media, and I love social media, we sometimes get this idea that, oh, well, Jamil's just always been super awesome and like life has always just worked out well for him, not realizing there was a process, there was a journey. So this is why it makes me happy when you express that it took time, that this was a 20-year process to see where you're at today. And today, this isn't necessarily even the finish line. This is just where you happen to be currently in the race. And that essentially everyone, every individual is pulling to them what they're attracting internally. And I want to highlight that a little bit more, maybe go into depth a little bit more with that, because it's something that, you know, I often say we will never outperform our self-identity.
Mm-hmm.
And what you just said, you know, two people could be doing the exact same actions and be producing totally drastically different results. And, you know, you're coming from a space where you do things where the sort of work that your team does, they're reaching out into the world, right? They're calling on strangers sometimes. And that might be sort of work that says, someone might say, well, Jamil, you can't possibly control what's going to happen on the other side of those phone calls. You know, you're telling me that if you work on yourself, those phone calls might come out differently. I'm curious to know your opinion on that, because I have an opinion myself. I'm curious to know your opinion on the effects of working on yourself when it comes to doing work that others might consider to be randomized, if you will.
I love that question, because it's a heady subject, right? Like, there's a line in between like woo woo and science. Okay. But first and foremost, let's think of it this way. Okay. Have you heard of the observer effect?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So for those of you that are unaware of what the observer effect is, it's this scientifically proven fact, right? That energy or a photon, for, you know, whatever, let's just call it that, can exhibit both particle and wave characteristics. Okay. And if something can be two things, then you would say statistically it would be 50-50 particle, 50-50 wave. And that would make sense, right? You flip a coin enough times, 50% of the time it's heads, 50% of the time it's tails, right? So this photon should 50% of the time be a particle, 50% of the time be a wave. Okay. Now, when they measure that, that's what happens. Okay. Except when a human being looks at it.
Hmm.
When human consciousness observes the experiment, 100% of the time it's a particle. Meaning we create physical matter with our consciousness.
Hmm.
So yes, I absolutely believe that your energy and your consciousness can affect the other person on the other line. 1000%.
So I love that, because this is something that I've noticed even inside my own business. When my energy is right, or when our team's energy is, everyone's excited, opportunities almost seem to come out of nowhere. And this is why it's so critical that we work on ourselves. And this is why I love having these conversations about mindset, and why I love having these conversations about, you know, how other people see the importance of cultivating their mindset. That really, when we're looking at things, this is, in my opinion, the first step, right? Getting to know yourself. So I'm also curious to know, during that time of, it was a 20-year process of you, and still going, 20 years and still going, of you getting to know yourself. In those beginning days of you beginning to tap back in with Jamil, right? It must have been, I imagine it was a little frustrating in the beginning. Maybe you were sitting down and meditating and nothing was quite happening right away.
I mean, that happens now. You know, let's not gloss over the fact that this shit's hard. Like, it's hard to maintain attention and focus and to concentrate on your breath and to live a life of intentional power, and to like really wake up every single day trying to be authentic and trying to like be a true human.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough, and you're not going to get it right every day. You're going to have crappy days. You're going to, fall down. You're going to freak out at somebody for no reason. You're going to get triggered. Things are going to happen. It's all going to happen. So, I mean, it's not that it's not happening today. It's not that I wake up, like I float and shit today. No, it's not. That's not true. None of that's real. I'll tell you what's real. I wake up every single day and I make a choice.
Mm.
I decide today that I'm going to do my best. I decide I'm going to do my best, live my best, behave my best. I'm wishing for peace. I'm truly trying to walk in to every situation with the resources of space, to allow myself the time to observe and respond rather than react, right? And that's all you can do. That's all you can do, right? But once you get to the point where you believe and you trust that life is collaborating with you, that you actually have the capacity to tap in and get the answer to any question if you just slow down enough to let that answer find its way to you, then you stop worrying about when you've taken a wrong turn, or when it's been a bad day, or when you've made a terrible mistake, because all of these things find themselves to lead you to new paths of opportunity and expansion. And I'm really starting to enjoy finding new opportunities and new ways to grow.
So I like that. And I do see that you're always growing, right? You and like our mentor Pace, you guys are always hanging out. And we've been watching your guys' journey, which has been really cool to see, actually. So I appreciate, by the way, that you share your journey, because that's not something that you have to share. That's something that you can totally keep private. However, it absolutely inspires. So out of curiosity, as you're growing on your journey and you're now entering into new rooms and new spaces where, you're the small guy in the room, and you're maybe stepping into a space where you're like, oh my gosh, like I'm nervous to go talk to a certain person.
Mm-hmm.
What are some things that, as you step into these spaces and into these rooms, that you're curious about learning from people that you view as, hey, this person's a little bit more ahead of me? What are the sort of questions that you like to ask in rooms where you find people that are on another chapter?
Great question, Marlon. I'm going to share with you guys an insight that I gained being with Grant Cardone a couple weeks ago. So, 2008, Grant Cardone goes to zero. Jamil Damji goes to zero. Okay. Where was I before that? 12 million. Right? So when I'm at zero, what's my goal? When I say, hey, I'm coming back. I'm coming back. What's my goal? My goal is to get back what I lost. Right? So Grant, he's at zero, but what goal does he create for himself? $1 billion. Okay. So here we get to 2022. I get to my 12, and he gets to $1 billion. We had the same amount of time. We lived in the same world of real estate. We're doing the same stuff. How is it that I get to 12 million and he gets to $1 billion? I'll tell you how. Because the gate was lifted in his mind. I'm in a maze. My maze leads to $12 million. His maze leads to $1 billion. But we both decided and thought which maze we were going to walk. So what I learned, bro, I look at this like this, and it's the first time I'm using this analogy, so forgive me if it comes out wonky. But I feel like we're all just like bare Christmas trees. Okay? Every one of us is like a bare Christmas tree. And we're spending days in life adding on ornaments. Oh, mentor. Oh, millionaire. Oh, TV show star. Oh, husband. Oh, divorcee. Oh, widow. Oh, father. Oh, multiple father. Oh, all the things. I'm putting on the decorations. Okay? Everybody's putting on decorations, bro. My decoration says this, 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 this. The homeless guy has decorations too. The decorations the homeless guy is putting on is worthless, on the street. I have nothing. The world hates me. I'm alone. They're all decorations. At the end of the day, we're all freaking Christmas trees. And guess what we can do? Shake those things off. That's it.
I don't want to challenge that, but I think that in hearing a lot of people share their pains, and I've had this conversation recently with someone, that some people actually, when you talk about a Christmas tree, right? Like, they might find their identity of wearing those broken ornaments as part of their identity. They're like, but this is what makes me who I am. And so, because to me, I look at it as really, my therapist taught my husband and I that we need to operate more in our true selves. But what do is that we tend to operate in our protective self. We're defensive. We don't want to get hurt. So we project a lot of our stuff in order to keep people away, or we lash out at them instead of just being our true authentic self, which sometimes requires vulnerability. And part of that vulnerable process is identifying that those ornaments don't belong there anymore. And so
I absolutely agree. Here's an interesting story I can share with you, Elena. There's a gentleman, Pace and I both know. So this man, about a decade ago, he lost his wife to cancer. 4 children. And every time you would see him, granted, a year, 6 months after a situation like that, you expect that every time you run into this person and talk to this person, you're going to hear about how hard it's been and all the things and struggles that he's got to go through in order to just survive as a single parent now with 4 kids, right? With the fact that he lost his wife to cancer. And you expect to hear that reiterated. What I found was that year after year, every time I'd have a conversation with this man, it was always prefaced with, my wife, man, she died of cancer. And, I'm just trying. And if you just gave me this deal $5,000 lower, it would be really helpful to me and my family because we need to get a little bit ahead, man, because my wife died of cancer, right? So we really need this. We really would help us out. So he'd get the $5,000 off. And then another time he'd be in a situation and he ends up doing something terrible, like screwing 5 people over, like legitimately just messing everybody up, lying, cheating, being a total douche. You get him on the phone and you're like, bro, what the hell is going on here? Why are you like trying to rip people off? Like, what's up? I've known you a long time. This is bullshit. What's up? Man, it's just been so hard with trying to raise 4 kids, my wife died of cancer, man. It's just like we're going through it all the time, right? Like I'm always in this. I'm always just trying to struggle. I'm just trying to make it through, man. She died of cancer, bro. Like you got to give me a break here. I know I screwed up. I lied. I cheated. I did this, but my wife, man, she died of cancer. Forgive me. So you let it go, right? You're like, oh, okay. You're right. Wife died of cancer. That's hard. You're right. It's sorry. You behaved like a total cheat. Your wife died of cancer. 4 kids need to survive. You do weird stuff. Got it. Forgiven.
Wow.
Happened again and again and again. And it's always my wife died of cancer. Right? One day I blow up at the guy. I'm like, how many times are you going to kill your wife, bro? How many times do you got to kill your wife for you to just realize that you do shitty things?
Yeah.
And it broke him to hear that from me, right? Because he thought that was the rudest thing I could have ever said to him. 6 months later, I'm reading a post on Facebook. His son gets diagnosed with cancer.
Oh.
So what happens? It becomes the new war cry. My son has cancer. My son has cancer. Everybody feels sorry for me. Bring me your deals. Sell me your deals. Forgive my transgressions. Let me be a piece of crap. Let me rip you off. I need deals. I need business. Give me $10,000 off. My son has cancer. My son has cancer. My son has cancer. I need money. I need this deal. I need that deal. My son has cancer. My son has cancer. So he moves a year and a half with this as the war cry. Then he gets sick and says, my gallbladder's messing up. I need help. I need help. My son has cancer. My gallbladder's messed up. My wife died of cancer. Everything's hard. Sorry I screwed you over. Sorry I stole that money. Sorry I owe you $5,000. Sorry I owe you 10 grand. Give me this deal for free. Help me get 10K off this deal. Wife had cancer. She died. Son has cancer. He's sick. I've got a gallbladder problem. Everything's hard. He died.
Oh.
So I say that, Elena, because I believe that when we wear our pain as a badge, you're truly doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah.
Identifying with the pain, identifying with the trauma, not saying that it didn't happen. These things happen to us. They affect us and they move us through life. And they're hard and they're crappy. But when we wear these things as our badge, when we make them our identity, then guess what? You have to take that identity all the way through. And that identity got him where he is today. And I'm sorry, I'm not speaking ill of the man. I love him. I donate to his family. I still reach out to his son. I reach out to his son all the time. How you doing? Can we hang out? Can we do something? Because I love the guy.
Yeah.
I love his family. I love his children. This isn't a thing about, look at the story of this man who wore his pain and it killed him. But this is why I challenge that, because I think that, we can live life and accept that pain happens to all of us. All of us. But when you make it your badge, then expect that you will have to wear that badge and all the time, right?
And the consequences too.
The consequences of what that is.
It brings me to this book that I'm doing with the Sub 2 group. It's called How to Do the Work. And I had Laura actually open up the book for the community. And she shared a really interesting story about how, just a story between her and her sister, but she talks about how people use their story to attract attention, but it's pity. And that's essentially what you were describing of your friend. But it's like that's not the true energy that we really want.
No, you're 1,000% right. He was addicted to the sympathy. He was addicted to
Yeah.
the pity.
Yeah.
And every time that he would get it, it would give him a dopamine hit.
Right.
Every time
Right.
somebody would feel sorry for him, every time he was able to get one over on you, every time he was able to screw you over, every time he was able to steal an EMD. And I'm
Right.
telling you, these are the things that were happening with this guy.
Yeah.
He'd steal your EMD. He'd sell you deals he didn't have. He would have you drop off an earnest deposit made to his name, and there would be no deal. He would legitimately sell a deal 2 times. He would. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on and on. It was just malarkey all the time, all the time, and every time it was my wife died, my son's cancer, my gallbladder.
Yeah.
And so it's exactly that. All you're doing is fishing for pity.
Yeah. And that's the true disease.
That's the true disease.
Yeah. Sorry, Marlon.
And no, nothing to be sorry about. It's interesting because some time back I found myself I had tapped into this phrase that I focus on the solutions, not the problem. Because oftentimes we think because there's a problem, we have to identify it and we have to share that problem. However, we also realize a way of sharing the problem is also speaking about the solution, right? By nature of speaking of the solution, we have to acknowledge that there's a problem. The idea is if there's a tree outside leaning over in the front yard, I can keep pointing at it and say, Jamil, Elena, look, the tree is leaning over. The tree is sideways. The tree is slanted. Or I could say, hey, Elena, Jamil, I think if we get a strap and we hoist it around the tree and we connect it to the car, we might be able to pull the tree upright. Both scenarios acknowledge the fact that the tree is linked over. However, one produces a positive outcome in the world. One produces a positive result. And it sounds like from the idea of where you were able to get into these rooms and, you sat down with Grant and you saw that, as being the Christmas trees and you're putting these decorations on, you're putting these stories on, you're putting these acknowledgments and these beliefs upon yourself, that you are able to create that new future for yourself, or you're recognizing that you can create that future for yourself. And it's interesting. You said you see us as the Christmas tree. However, it sounds like you also see us as not just the Christmas tree, but also the decorator of the tree as well.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to come in and put those things on. So with that being the case, how important is it for you to surround yourself with certain people? I believe something I learned from Tony Robbins was proximity is power. He says in his 40 years of doing what he does, that was one of the top 5 lessons that he's kept throughout the years. Is that something that resonates with you?
Yeah, I mean, guys, let's look at it. And have you ever been around? Have you ever traveled to a country where they have like a different accent?
Yeah.
Okay. How long did you go?
I was in Switzerland for about 3 weeks.
Okay. By week 3, did you start noticing that you were speaking differently?
I definitely did. My speech patterns changed
right?
a lot.
I mean, think of that, dude. Like you're 3 weeks, and you're starting to talk different. Your inflections are different. Your cadence is different. Your words are coming out different. You're almost adopting a new accent, right? That's a physical manifestation of what we're talking about. So easily shown to us by just speech patterns. So if that's happening to us when we're just traveling to Switzerland, then what's happening to you in your friend circle? What's happening to you in your household? What's happening to you at your workplace? 8 hours a day you spend around folks, right? You're at your job. You're spending 8 hours with people that the same job as you, vibrating in the same place because y'all are in the same environment. So you have the same vibration. Believe it. So you're in this spot. Maybe you're trying to change your vibration. Maybe you're trying to raise it, right? But you're in this spot right now, which means you're vibrating this way. Because it can be instant. you change your vibration, you almost instantaneously find yourself in a different vibrational place.
Mm-hmm.
You don't belong here anymore. So a new spot finds you, a new way gets you. You might get fired, but 2 days later, you're in this new spot. That's what you're vibrating at.
Mm.
Right? So it's what it is. You are absolutely reflecting what's happening here, and you're seeing it by you. So if you're sitting beside Toxic Joe, you are Toxic Joe. If you are hanging out with Shitty Sam, you are Shitty Sam. It's all that it is. You are only being shown to you what you are. I'm on this podcast with you guys because y'all are reflecting me in your life. You're on this. I'm same way with me. I'm reflecting you.
Mm.
So I'm with you guys here. Same thing.
It's the attraction. Yeah.
It's what it is, right? It's like, Elena, you reach out to me. I have said no to a lot of folks, lots of people.
I could only imagine.
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time. Not because I don't want to be on their podcast. I'd like to be on everybody's podcast. Yeah. Time doesn't permit. Opportunity doesn't present itself. I'm busy. I got a lot of things going on. I can't say yes to things. But we're here because we match.
Hmm. Thank you.
Thank you. Right? It's all that this is we're just dancing, reflecting. So reflect better. Reflect better. If you're in a spot right now and the situation sucks, just tune this. Situation will change. You can't be in a glass of water if you're oil.
Don't mix.
And can we quickly speak to that person right now? Because oftentimes, and the reason, we get so excited about doing these podcasts, getting on social media, going on Instagram Live and sharing is because at some point, I think each of us has felt what it's like to feel alone inside of our world where, maybe your thought process, it starts to change, right? You start to realize there's something different about you. Like I'm sure, Jamil, at some point you felt different and like different in a way that, man, why does everyone else around me seem to be so okay with the status quo when the status quo is no good? And in that space, you were the different guy in the room. What really, can you just say something to those people right now for if they're feeling like an outsider in their world and everyone else seems to be content, but on the inside, they're not feeling content?
Yeah, man, just don't be afraid to walk out that door. Like, stop chaining yourself. You're there. If you're in a bad spot right now and there's no guard outside your door with a gun, get out. Get out. Really.
Yeah.
That's like I don't know what else to say. It's like we just impose so much on ourselves. We impose prison, we impose limits, we impose toxicity, we impose crappy people, we impose. We're decorating ourselves with oppression. Right? If you're in a crap room, hop out the window.
Jump out if you need to.
Yeah, man, get out of there. Look, even if you're on the 10th floor and you jump out, you'll probably break a leg, but guess what? You'll be out that bitch.
And free in the space.
Hobble off. Go figure out what happens outside that room, but it's going to be a lot better than the room full of poop.
Yeah. I think a lot of that sometimes when I speak with people about that, I think that the fear is a couple of different things. I think one is they don't feel that they're deserving to be outside of that space, right? And number two, that they don't even know what is outside. So they think, well, this is probably and they identified as, well, I've known these people for so long. These are my family and my friends that I've known for a long time. Marlon and I talk about this often. And it's like, oh, but I've had this friend for so long. Well,
yeah, I know. But at the same time, And that's okay. It's cool. You don't have to abandon everybody to like for
Right.
them not to for you not to have them affect you energetically, right?
Right.
Like I got a lot of people that I grew up with that I don't hang out with. You know, and it's cool. They send me a DM. I'm like, "What's up?"
Yeah.
They're like, "Hey, I want an Astro hat." There you go. You know, like it is what it is, right? Like we don't gotta be best friends.
Right.
This doesn't have to end. It's
Right.
it just can't stay how it is.
Right.
Right. I'm sorry, but like I don't think that we have to unless you like it.
Yeah.
If your life situation right now is shit, but you're so attached to the people around you and the energy around you and all the things that you're okay to live a shit life because that way you get to keep them, that's your prerogative, my friend.
Yeah.
But if you think I'm better than this, I deserve more than this, I need new ornaments. I'm tired of the ones I've been decorating myself with. They're all broken and scratchy and gross. Shake them off.
Mm.
So I absolutely love that. And listen, I want to be respectful of your time. So I have this final question here for me that I want to know from you. As you've been working on, yourself and really getting to know thyself, and even more than just know thyself, you got to the place where you're able to like imagine thyself and create thyself. What are some habits that you found to be beneficial for you in your personal journey with that self-discovery and self-creation?
I mean, first and foremost, I think setting intentions are massively powerful, right? Like if you're like, what does that mean? Like get in tune with your intentions. Why do you do stuff? First and foremost, why are you doing the things you do? What are you trying to do? You're trying to attract honeys? Are you trying to, what do you want? Are you trying to get money? You trying to, just let's be real. Why? Ask yourself why. Why you do what you do, right? Then find out and peel back the layer of that why and say, is this like a real, does this resonate? Is this something that you're proud of? Is this intention something that you want to walk in the world with? If it's not, set a new intention. Setting intentions, I think, is absolutely fundamental. Secondly, you're not going to see step 2. You're only going to ever see step 1. I'm on step 1 right now. I still don't know step 2. I'm always at step 1. So quit trying to figure it out. None of us have a friggin' idea what's going to happen. I walk out the house today and get hit by a truck. Great. Had a good run. Thanks. Peace, guys. It was fun. Right? So you're not going to see out there. You ain't going to see it. So just enjoy step 1. Like really get to know step 1. Really feel it out. Really get it. And I think the last thing is you got to know who you are. Like at the fundamental core level, how divine you are, how truly magical you are as a human being. And if that's still hard for you, reach out to me, reach out to Marlon, reach out to Elena, it's not gonna, you are going to find the answer to your worth inside, but sometimes people outside will help you point inside.
Absolutely.
Right. So find people that will help you go on the journey inward, because it's all inside you. It's all inside you, man. Like you want $1 billion. It's inside you. You want a mansion on the water. It's inside you. You want a fulfilling relationship with a loving spouse. It's inside you. You want to be a New York Times best-selling author. It's inside you.
I wanted to highlight something real quick too, especially because at one point you had said that, 2 people could live the same life, do the same thing. And in some ways too, like kind of recapping your story that you hit rock bottom, right? And you could have used that also as a pity party. Hey, I got into a car accident. Broke my back. I'm going through all this stuff, you know, bankruptcy, all this stuff, and it's like, hey, I need your help, right? And then you look at the guy, your friend, you know, no disrespect, may he rest in peace, but it's like, but his story was that he didn't do the internal work where he could have actually turned his story into a redemption story, but instead he chose to turn it into a pity story.
Yeah.
And I mean, this book is incredibly powerful because it talks a lot about how your mind could physiologically impact your body to the cellular level. And so I love your story and how you chose the path where you said, you know what, I want to change my life around, and I want to turn my pain, because you said earlier about how, well, you know, his story wasn't over, but that was the path that he chose. Like your story wasn't over, but yet you decided to turn it into, and not to, I mean, it's for the namesake of the show, redemption stories, but you decided to turn your pain into a superpower. And so if you can just kind of end with even just those that are going through pain right now and not really knowing and believing yet, like, what is it that you told yourself when you were at the fork in the road, right? You could have chose the pity party, or you could have chosen the path that you did choose, which is the redemption story.
Yeah.
To work on yourself and to allow that story to bless and to serve others. Like what did you go through that you can share with us and also encourage others?
I just did the research. I saw like, hey, what kind of people end up where? That's it. So if I'm gonna wear the pain as a badge of honor, where do I go? What does that life lead to? If I'm gonna use the pain as a motivator for evolution, where does that go? That's it. Like the examples are out there in life. They showed us. You know, history shows us. People show us. That's all. I mean, it's not rocket science. In fact, it's like the dumbest of us can get to the highest places.
Because they did the research.
Or they just say, you know what? I see the example. I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to question it. I'm just going to roll.
Absolutely love that. So, Jamil, for anybody who doesn't already know who you are, I don't know why they wouldn't know who you are if they're following either myself or Elena. But for someone new that's coming across this channel or this episode for the very first time, and they just absolutely love everything you have to say and they want to connect with you further, what's the best place for them to go to connect with you? I mean, you're in so many places, but where's your favorite place that you like to send people?
I mean, you can find me on my IG. It's at JDAMJI. Also, I have a YouTube channel. It's just Jamil Damji on YouTube. I interact, so send me DMs, hang out, you know, show up to meetups where I'm at. I love getting to know everybody that's in our community, in our niche, in our space. I'm happy to be a part of your life if you want me to be a part of your life. That's it. I wish you all success. I wish you a tremendous amount of joy and blessings and expansion and love. And truly, you know, remind yourself of that every day if you have the opportunity, if you feel where you are just in that spot where it needs to get better, you can make it better. You can make it better. Think better, feel better, be better.
Jamil, thank you so much. I appreciate your time for being here. I appreciate your just being open, and I'm looking forward to seeing what great things you do in the future.
Appreciate you guys. Love you so much.
Thank you so much. Love you too, brother.
Take care.
You too.
So, Elena, that was another fun episode. What a great guest.
What a gift. I told you that I'm no longer going to say no for people, that I'm just going to shoot the shot and ask. Yeah. That was, I really was like, I'm going to do it. And I've been wanting to ask Jamil for a long time. I heard him speak at the March Mastermind for Sub 2 and then again in June. And that's when I thought, like, we got to have him on, and he's got a powerful story. So obviously, as you guys heard, it's just a choice. It's a choice, and it's a choice to believe in yourself that you deserve it, and also too that it's okay to leave an environment that doesn't bless and support you, and that there are other environments that might be unfamiliar, but if you choose to change your vibration, your energy, and you're seeking the same, it's bound to happen. So that's another encouragement for those that are just in, tough kind of environments.
Absolutely agree. And I want to ask everyone that's still hanging out right now, if you're watching live, do us a huge favor, right? I want to show Jamil that it was appreciated, that his time was, really appreciated today, that you all that were a part of the audience that were listening, shout out Alexis, shout out Nicole, shout out Jonah, some of the people I saw, Daryl was in here, Elizabeth was in here. I really appreciate you all for engaging in the comments. Do me a favor and screenshot a scene of you listening to this. If you're watching it on YouTube, go backwards and screenshot and go and tag Jamil, tag Elena, tag myself on Instagram, and just let us know that you were listening. If you thought the episode was awesome, give it a thumbs up, drop some fire emojis, something. I want to let Jamil know that today somebody got value. I know I got plenty of value from this conversation. I know Elena got value, but if you also got value, I want you to go and share it on social media. That is the only thing I'm going to ask for. And I'm making that a big ask. Like, that is like my Christmas ask right now, is that you go and you share that so he can say, dang, you know what? I want to come back on deeper. I want to come back and I want to dive. Like Alan said, he wants, like, we'll get him to come back and do 7 levels why. So I love that. I appreciate everybody for that. Elena, is there anything you want to say to wrap it up with them?
No, thank you so much, everyone, for being here. And I know that there's a bunch of other Zooms that we're competing with. Thank you guys for really just showing up and showing the support to Marlon, myself, and Jamil. Just try to, again, like Marlon said, share it with others. It's going to be on our YouTube channels, and Jamil's story is incredibly powerful because he is on a journey to bless other people. And he's not afraid to share the pain, even as he's going through it too. So thank you, everyone.
Love it. All right, y'all. So get ready for the sign out. Here it is.